Hello, everyone. I'm here today to talk to all of you about learning to be selfish. And in particular, how learning to be selfish helped me define my passion and change my view of the world from being this large object, similar to the stone that sits on the back of the Greek god Atlas, to being the size of a marble. See, as I was growing up, a lot like everyone else, I lived in a suburb, and my view of the world consisted pretty much of the kids I went to school with in my elementary school, kids I competed and played sports against, maybe the other towns that we went to and competed against, as well as everyone in my neighborhood, even that old man on the corner who would yell at me anytime our dog peed on his lawn, which is totally not my fault, come on. But as I grew up and as time went on, my grandma gave me the best gift of all, and that was an opportunity to go to southern Africa. This was the summer after my 5th grade year of middle school, and to have that opportunity I thought was incredible. I thought it was quite a feat to take on for an elderly woman to take myself in 5th grade, my sister and one of my cousins to South Africa, but my mom, being the loving person she did, came along with us, and the trip turned out to be a blast. And when we got there, a lot of what we did, the first 10 or 11 days that we were there, were the typical tourist stuff that you would expect, right? We went on safaris, we saw lions and tigers and elephants, we sampled some of the local food, and we got to see Victoria Falls. But the very last day that we were there, we stayed in a town that was a lot closer to our airport. Now in this town, there was a marketplace. And this marketplace was full of the local villagers. And when my mom came to me and she said, hey, we're going to go to the marketplace on this last day and maybe get some souvenirs to bring home. I thought, awesome. It's going to be like we're going to the mall, I'm going to see Abercrombie, Hollister, and this is going to be the Southern Africa souvenir store, right? That's where we're going to go. It's going to be great. But when we got there, that wasn't at all what I saw. What I saw was a collection of huts next to each other, and living out of each of these huts and working out of each of these huts was a different person. Some of them carved their stuff out of wood. Some people worked with stone. Other people just took the straw and sticks that were around them and made figures as well. And as I started walking around, I started looking things on the ground and picking stuff up. I got comments like, hey, I like your hat. Hey, I like your shirt. 5th grade, I was like, hey, I like your stuff. But what I didn't realize, and what my mom had to explain to me was, they were trying to start negotiations and were willing to trade the things that they had made for articles of clothing that I was wearing. See, they didn't have the luxury of going to a Walmart or a Target and just buying something. My 5th grade mind thought, you buy stuff with money, you don't trade stuff. That's what they did back when they didn't have money. That's why we have money now, right? I didn't realize they're not in a situation where they can have a job 9 to 5, make a wage, hop in their car, and drive off to a store. So it was my first learning experience. Now, as we were leaving this marketplace, and I was all excited on my cool new souvenirs, where I couldn't wait to show my friends I was going to be the coolest kid in school, I felt a tug on my shirt right before we left. And when I turned around, what I saw was the single image that is stuck in my head every single day since we've left Africa. Because when I turned around, I saw a girl no more than 4 or 5 years old. One of her eyes was completely white, so much she couldn't see out of that eye. And she had an object in each hand. When her left hand was just a rusty old can that she was gesturing at me, looking for money, and then her right hand was the end of a leash. Up to that point in time, my knowledge of leashes was, oh, that's what my dog goes on. So I was expecting a dog or a cat. Maybe because we're in Africa, it'd be a monkey of some kind. The thing that was on the other end of the leash was a man who was roughly 50 to 55 years old, and both of his eyes were completely white because he was completely blind. So this girl was in a situation which not only was she trying to fend for herself at a tender age of 4 or 5 years old, but she was also trying to fend for this man who could have been her uncle, father, etc. So I was awestruck. I reached in my pocket. I gave her a couple dollars, put it in her can. I started walking away, just dumbfounded by what had happened. And when we got back to the hotel and I realized what I had just experienced, what I just saw, I broke down and I started bawling. I couldn't contain the sort of emotion that had overtaken me. And this is the first time that I really, really cried out of something that wasn't just physical pain. This was because something struck me so much so emotionally. I was upset. I was frustrated. I didn't understand why she had to go through that, why she had to be in that situation. But most importantly, I was mad. I was mad because I thought I had been selfish. I gave her $2 or $3, but I had more than that. I could have given her $6 or $7. I had my mother and grandmother with me. There was no reason that I needed this money, and obviously she was in a much trying position. So as I got on the plane tomorrow and I was going home, and my view of the world had grown, I realized there were things that I couldn't understand. I decided I didn't want to live in a world where stuff like that was going to happen. I didn't want to have to go around to different parts of the world, see people in those tough situations, and not be able to do anything about it. That was the day I decided my passion was, I'm going to change the world. Okay? So as life goes on, between freshman and sophomore year in high school, I had the opportunity to go to a school that specializes in math and science. I was like, you know what? This is my first step in changing the world. I'm going to push myself intellectually. I'm going to surround myself by a bunch of other really intelligent people, and together we're going to change the world. And I was getting on Tuesday, I was looking Atlas right in the eyes, and I was like, buddy, you better hold on to that world, because I'm going to be making some changes around here, and I don't want you to drop it. So when I got there, the first things that they were telling us is, you guys are going to be the future. You're going to change the world. You guys are going to get involved together. And if you apply yourself, the change that you can make is endless. And I was like, awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's why I'm here. So what I do, I got involved. When I got there, I thought if I was going to change the world, I needed to be involved with everything and be the president of everything. Political debate was the president of political debate. Tutoring inner city students in math and science, did that. Private research, did that. If you look at that, I've got politics, education, and math and science all covered. I had the full spectrum. And what you're probably realizing now is you're like, wow, that's really awesome for a 9-to-5 career. And then you throw in trying to have a social life in high school, athletics, the academics that I'd been there for in the first place, and also trying to get some sleep, you start to realize this could be a little bit overwhelming. And it was. It was exhausting. I pushed through my sophomore year, I pushed through my junior year. And anytime I was tired, I seemed stressed out, there was that image of the girl from Africa in the back of my mind that was pushing me forward. Until I got to one of those days in my junior year of high school where it just seemed like everything was coming down at once. I was getting emails about an event that was going on. It seemed like every class either had a test or a major assignment that was due. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was looking at my computer screen just looking at it. I said, I need to take an hour-long power nap. So I go, half an hour later, sure enough, the sun comes breaking through in full through my window and wakes me up. So I'm walking outside, and I'm looking at the sun, and two thoughts came into my mind. One, that this sun had served as a symbol of continuity to me. Right? No matter what I had been going through or what was going on, the sun kept rising, the sun kept falling. There's nothing I could do about it. And secondly, I was very frustrated. Right? Probably partially because I was woken up half an hour early for my power nap, but also because in realizing that this was a symbol of continuity, I felt as though there was no opportunity for me to actually pursue my passion and make an impact on the world. See, I was never going to be able to prevent the sun from rising or from setting. It was going to happen. It didn't change day to day, week to week, year to year. And so for the first time since I'd seen that girl in Africa, I made the conscious decision to be selfish and put my own ideas and curiosities first. So I started to do some inward exploring. What is it I really liked? What are the things that I really want to focus on? And as I started to do this, what I did was I started to shape my own world. See, and as I was shaping my own world and pursuing these ideas, what I realized was that these ideas weren't super original. It's not like I was the first one who was ever thinking of them, but what made them special, a lot like this marble that I'm holding in my hand right now, is that it's mine. And I decided to hold ownership of it instead of someone else giving it to me. And you may think, okay, you've gone from the world right down to a marble. Okay, that's quite a big change. What I realized when I came down to this marble, my world, so to speak, was two big things. The first major thing was that in narrowing my focus and choosing to follow an idea that I was most passionate about, I wasn't ignoring the world, I wasn't shoving the world aside. But instead, as I was beginning to understand how that one idea influenced and perpetuated throughout the world. And secondly, what I noticed was with a smaller object like a marble, the amount of effort and the amount of energy that I exerted into it, I got to see directly out of it. See, when I felt like I was trying to change the world, when I was no longer looking at Atlas, and I was stuck feeling like I was Atlas, just watching the sun rise and set day to day, I felt hopeless. I was holding on. But now that I had taken control, put my own ideas and passions first, if I really wanted to make a difference, I could make a difference. So what I want to do here in closing is encourage all of you to take a little time to be a little more selfish in your own lives. Put yourself first and let the world wait so that you can see the impact that you can have on your own world. Thank you.